Got left.
Okay. I just wanted to let you know.
Thanks. It's 7 p.m. and I'll call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Beloit City Council. We're here at 100 State Street, Beloit, Wisconsin in the City Hall Forum, and today is Monday, March 2nd, 2015. Can I have a roll call?
Roll call shows all councilors present.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3 is special orders of the day and announcements. 3A.
3A is the State of the City address.
Good evening. Tonight we take a few minutes to reflect on the state of the city. Where do we stand in Beloit today? Where have we come in the past year? And where are we going? Some years, there's not all that much to say. But tonight we've come through a year that included both successes and tragedies, and we look ahead to a year that will bring major changes to Beloit. It's impossible to talk about the state of the city without mentioning the tragic violence that struck Beloit over the past year. My heart goes out to everyone who lost a loved one or was otherwise impacted by violent crime in the past year. And we all share the concern of those who are worried about their safety and the perception of safety in Beloit. There is much work left to be done to make our community the place we dream it can be. But I wanted to highlight some of the efforts that people across Beloit have undertaken to bring our city together and make our neighborhoods safer. Our police department has launched new efforts to combat violent crime. Neighborhood watch groups have come together or renewed their efforts. Resident volunteers have taken to the streets to look out for the safety of children. Churches and nonprofits have stepped up to lead conversations and build community. New options for youth programming have been explored to keep teens off the street at night. And we are evaluating our police department to ensure that everything possible is being done to maintain strong morale and make the best use of limited resources. In the coming year, I hope that we will begin to see results from these efforts, but I also know that change is not easy and does not come overnight. I hope the entire community will continue to prioritize proactive efforts to reach out to our young people and make sure they have hope for their future. In the past year, we've had a community conversation on truancy. Last summer, that conversation led to the City Council significantly reducing the fines for truancy, habitual truancy, and daytime curfew violations. The goal was to keep the focus on getting kids in school, not to have kids rack up large amounts of fines that could one day lead to jail time. Just last week, the conversation continued in a joint meeting with the Beloit School Board. School district officials talked about all of the interventions that take place to help get kids in school before truancy citations are issued. The school board and the city council agreed to move forward with a task force to include other stakeholders and community members to continue to look at how to best address truancy in Beloit and build on the progress we've made in the past year. No conversation about the state of the city would be complete without a comment on the budget. The 2015 budget is as tighter than the several budgets before it. If the initial proposed state budget for the next 2 years is a preview of the final state budget that will be adopted in June, Beloit's 2016 budget will be even tighter. City staff and the City Council have worked hard to manage these tight budgets while minimizing the impact to services that residents count on. For at least another 2 years, it looks like that challenge will continue. This will mean more tough decisions in the future, but the city's responsible use of fund balance and maintenance of an excellent bond rating puts Beloit in the best possible position to weather these continued financial challenges. Despite the challenges we faced, Beloit continues to move forward in attracting businesses and encouraging job creation. New stores and restaurants have opened and are in the works in the downtown and the Milwaukee Road business corridor. The Ironworks renovations continue to progress and will continue to attract new businesses. In the past year, North Star Medical Radioisotopes broke ground on a facility that could create 165 new jobs. And just this December, we announced that Pratt Industries will be building a new cardboard manufacturing facility in Beloit this spring and creating 140 jobs. While we still have work to do in economic development and making sure all Beloit residents have access to a family-supporting career, business growth is up and unemployment is down in Beloit. Other leaders in our community continue to do great work to make Beloit a quality place to live. The School District of Beloit is completing work on the new Fran Frusen Intermediate School, the final chapter in the renovations and new construction approved in the referendum. Visit Beloit held a very successful Come and Knock on Our Doors public art event last summer, along with many other promotions to bring visitors to Beloit. The Downtown Beloit Association launched the first annual Oktoberfest, despite poor weather, and continues to put on one of the best farmers markets in Wisconsin. The city's partnership with the Leadership Development Academy and the Rock Trail Coalition led to the installation of a bridge in Big Hill Park that will be part of extending an off-road bike path to Janesville. And the Beloit International Film Festival just celebrated its 10th anniversary with 10 days of amazing films, thanks to the hard work of volunteers that make it possible. These are just some of the wonderful things that have happened in Beloit over the past year. The past year has also seen a number of new faces at the city and a number of departures. In the past year, we said goodbye to 2 city councilors with 21 years of combined experience, Jim Van de Bogert and Kevin Levy. But our council has also grown to reflect more of Beloit's diversity, with the additions of Anna Kelly, the first Latina, and Regina Hendricks, the first African-American woman to serve on the Beloit City Council. In 2 months, my term on the City Council will end as well, and no matter how the April election turns out, this council will be majority female for the first time in history. In addition to changes on the City Council, we've seen changes in the surrounding community. We have a new Rock County Administrator, Josh Smith. School District of Beloit Superintendent Steve McNeil has retired, and South Beloit lost Mayor Michael Duffy far too soon. The biggest change for the city of Beloit, of course, is the upcoming retirement of our city manager, Larry Arft, after 12 years of service. The biggest decision any city council has to make is the hiring of a city manager. Larry will retire in June, and we are in the middle of a search process that we hope will lead to the selection of a new manager in April. I have great confidence in the consultant we are working with, and we have had 27 applications for the position, so I am confident we will be able to interview multiple quality candidates and select someone who will be a great fit for Beloit. Just as the broader community was involved in identifying the traits we need in our next manager, the community will have an opportunity to meet finalists and provide feedback when we get to that stage of the process. I am confident we will select a manager with the skills and leadership qualities needed to lead us in this next chapter of Beloit's history. Despite the challenges of the past year and the uncertainty ahead that comes with any leadership transition, the state of our city is strong. Beloit is strong because of the resilience, dedication, and optimism of our residents. Beloit is strong because of the businesses, nonprofit organizations, and institutions that make their home here and give back to this community. And Beloit is strong because of the hardworking city staff who have taken on the challenge of providing quality services with limited resources. Thank you to everyone listening tonight, here at City Hall and across the Beloit community, for everything you do to make Beloit the strong, resilient city we are today, and keep forging ahead together in the next year and beyond. Item 4 is public hearings. 4A.
A resolution authorizing a conditional use permit to allow an outdoor seating area and the indoor and outdoor sales, possession, and consumption of alcohol in a C2 Neighborhood Commercial District and MRO Milwaukee Road Overlay District for the property located at 2747 Milwaukee Road, Buffalo Wild Wings. The Plan Commission recommended approval 6-0.
Ms. Christensen.
This property was previously the site of Atlanta Bread. Before that, it was Perkins. It's going to be renovated to become a Buffalo Wild Wings, and an outdoor seating area has been proposed along with the indoor and outdoor sales, possession, and consumption of alcohol. Site plan review is not required for this site. They're going to renovate the building, but there will be no additions or changes to the parking layout. Architectural review has already been completed for the exterior facade renovations and signage for this site. The applicant is proposing a 12-foot by 67-foot outdoor seating area on the west side of the building. It will be enclosed by a 3-foot concrete wall, and it will also be covered. It will hold 18 tables and 64 chairs. There will be 2 alarmed emergency gates at either end of the patio area. The minimum parking requirement is 50% of seating capacity, and with the seating capacity being recommended. 107 parking stalls are required. There's currently only 90 stalls on site, so a shared parking agreement for the 17 additional required stalls is being negotiated at this time, and a condition of approval has been reflected regarding to that parking agreement. We sent this out to the city's review agents. No comments were received. We sent out a public notice to the nearby property owners, and no comments were received by the neighbors. Plan Commission held a public hearing and did recommend approval, subject to the conditions listed in your resolution, which is that this conditional use permit authorizes a 12 by 67 foot outdoor seating area on the west side of the existing building, shown in the application attachments, and the sale, possession, and consumption of alcohol. Prior to the establishment of the conditional uses, the applicant shall receive a liquor license for both indoor and outdoor sales. Prior to the establishment of the conditional uses, the applicant should provide proof of a shared parking agreement for the additional stalls. Before construction begins, the applicant shall obtain a building permit. The maximum capacity of the outdoor seating area shall be 64 people. The maximum capacity shall be posted inside the building and within the outdoor seating area. The door leading to the outdoor seating area shall be marked as an exit, and the path of egress shall remain clear at all times. The applicant shall provide a visible and/or audible fire alarm within the outdoor seating area. Music may not be played in the outdoor seating area after 10 p.m. And then our standard condition about major changes coming back through this public process and minor changes being approved administratively. And we did receive the building plans for the renovations, so we have everything else is kind of good to go on the building side.
Thank you. I'll now open the public hearing on item 4A. If anyone wishes to speak, please approach the podium at this time. Second call for anyone wishing to speak on item 4A. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak on item 4A. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and open it up for questions or a motion.
Move approval.
Moved by Haynes, second by DeForest. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? This is approved 7-0. Item 4B.
An ordinance amending the City of Beloit Comprehensive Land Use Plan to change the future land use designation of the property located at 1401 Town Hall Road from institutional and community services to planned neighborhood. The Plan Commission recommended approval 7-0.
Ms. Christensen.
This property was originally purchased by the school district with intentions to build a school there in the future. With the whole referendum project, they know that they are not going to use this site for a school, and so they are currently selling the property. They do have an accepted offer to purchase on the property, but they're trying to get the zoning pieces in place first before they close. The property is currently vacant land, is assessed as ag land. The land surrounding the property are also vacant ag land except the single-family residence to the east of the property. It is currently zoned PLI, which was because it was, when we last did our comprehensive plan, the plan was for it to be a school use. The applicant has requested a land use designation of planned neighborhood. And if the request amendments are approved, he will then rezone it to DH, which is the next item on your agenda. He also intends to complete a land division of this lot, which is being referred on this agenda tonight as well. So the request is to change the future land use map of the city's comprehensive plan from institutional and community services to planned neighborhood. Plan Commission did hold a public hearing and did unanimously recommend approval of this request.
Thank you. I'll now open the public hearing on item 4B. If anyone wishes to speak on item 4B, please approach the podium. Second call for anyone wishing to speak on item 4B. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak on item 4B. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. This is on for suspending the rules, so I would entertain questions or a motion to suspend the rules. Moved by DeForest.
Second.
Second by Kelly. Is there any discussion on suspending the rules? Vice President Haynes.
I won't be offering any discussion on suspending the rules, but I figure since the last name is the same, I should probably state for the record I'm not related and I do not know Mr. Haynes.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on suspending the rules? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That's approved 7-0. And is there a motion to approve? Moved by Lupke, second by Hendricks. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That is also approved 7-0. Item 4C.
An ordinance amending the City of Beloit zoning district map to change the zoning district classification of the property located at 1401 Town Hall Road from PLI, Public Lands and Institutions District, to DH, Development Holdings District. The Plan Commission recommended approval, 7-0.
Ms. Christensen.
Given that you just approved the comprehensive plan amendment, the zoning request is now consistent with the comp plan. It would be rezoning it, as Rebecca said, from PLI, Public Lands and Institutions District, to Development Holding District. Their intention is to build single-family houses on the 2 lots once the CSM is completed, and Plan Commission did recommend approval.
Thank you. I'll now open the public hearing on item 4C. If anyone wishes to speak on item 4C, please approach the podium. Second call for anyone wishing to speak on item 4C. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak on item 4C. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
Move to suspend the rules.
Moved by Haynes. Is there a second? Second by DeForest. Any discussion on suspending the rules? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? It's approved 7-0. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move on the merits.
Moved by DeForest. Is there second by Hendricks? Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? This is approved 7-0. Item 5 is citizens' participation. We've reached the point in the meeting for members of the public to speak to the council about issues that are coming before us or may come before us in the future. The council will not act on any requests this evening unless the item you are speaking about is already on our agenda, but we may act on requests at a future meeting, or we may refer a speaker to staff for assistance. We ask that you hold your comments to 3 minutes or less and avoid making personal attacks. Is there anyone wishing to speak tonight during citizens' participation? If so, please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. Second call for anyone wishing to speak during citizens' participation. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak during citizens' participation. Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda, item 6. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda. Is there any councilor wishing to remove an item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, the consent agenda consists of items 6A through E. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Kincaid, second by Lupke. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That is approved 7-0. Item 7 is ordinances. We have none this evening. Item 8 is appointments. We have none this evening. Item 9 is councilor activities and upcoming events. Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. Well, beside it being a busy week with special meetings, there was a lot going on in our community. I'm excited to share that. First of all, I thoroughly enjoyed celebrating with the Morgan Stars, Beloit's birthday celebration, and I got a very cool pencil. I know you're jealous. This is Happy Birthday, Beloit. It was a wonderful event. The students did an excellent job learning about the history of Beloit and commemorating that. I was happy to be there. Also was pleased to attend one of the transit open house sessions, and want to thank Michelle Gavin and her staff for really making sure that all the residents had input on the plans for routes in the future. So thank you to our fantastic transit department. Also got to see many fantastic films these past 10 days. Enjoyed the Fantastic Black Party, even though it was very cold. But the ice sculptures were fantastic, and the fire throwers were wonderful, and the films were great. The camaraderie was wonderful. Met a lot of folks that came to Beloit for the film festival. Met 3 that had never been to Beloit before. That was pretty exciting, and they were pretty wowed by our community. So thank you, Biff, and thank you to all the volunteers who helped make that possible. I'd like to also especially thank 2 of our firefighters who stood outside in that cold the entire night to make sure that the fire throwers were safe. So thank you to firefighters Rosario and Smith for being out there in that bitter cold, making sure that everything was safe. Was able to attend the School District of Beloit's Diversity Committee, which I'm proud to serve as a member of. Also attended the Jobs for Fathers program graduation. Congratulations to those graduates. And then finally, I want to make sure to congratulate Sean Sick and thank him for his service to our council as he leaves Beloit here and leaves the Beloit Daily News. Thank you for your diligent work to cover the news of the City Council and the news of the city. So good luck to you. Thank you.
Councillor Lupke.
I too want to offer kudos to Biff on the 10-year anniversary. And I was talking to an individual from Milwaukee, and she came down from Milwaukee to see the films, and she said, this is really a jewel we just don't know about in Milwaukee. The people of Milwaukee and throughout the state need to know about Beloit. The restaurants you have, she mentioned Bagels and More, Bushel and Peck, Fromage, the food, just walking and seeing the people. But the films, the directors, the people she met were just fantastic. She said Beloit is really a jewel. So this is another way to showcase our wonderful city. So just thank you to all the volunteers. Anna, you and your husband were at Fromage all day, all night, selling tickets. That was the headquarters this year. But we had lots and lots of volunteers, and everything I heard about from the movie theater to the castle, everything went very well. So kudos to everybody. That's all I have.
Councillor Hendricks.
Speaking of Biff, I didn't get to go to my Grease sing-along. I wasn't feeling well.
I was looking for you. You said
I
you were
know.
going to dress up.
I was looking forward to it. I did make it. But I did do a lot of other things these past couple weeks. I was able to speak at Cunningham Intermediate School for their first Black History Assembly that they've ever had. So that was a good time. The kids were very well behaved. And actually, I did my rap. They loved it. But they participated and they were into it, so that was fun. I attended the Beloit Memorial High School Black History Assembly, which was amazing. The kids spelled out or acted out different civil rights events that occurred through history, and it was very powerful. We have a lot of talented kids in Beloit. I was going to say at Beloit Memorial, but in Beloit itself. So it's always good to see that. Then I attended Merrill School's Black History Celebration. I was able to sing the Black National Anthem, lift every voice and sing for them. And they did a special step. If you remember last meeting, I shared that I got to go in to the classrooms and teach them a step. Well, they performed it, and I didn't know that. So that was a good surprise. And then our summer gospel jam, I'm on Visit Beloit board, and we're hosting a summer gospel jam. So if you like gospel music, that'll be going on in June. I say that this early because we are hosting Beloit's Sunday Best, which is a singing competition. So it'll require you to sing gospel music, but our live auditions will be Friday, March 13th, or Saturday, March 21st. And if you need more information about the audition process, then you can let me know, because I'm the chairperson, because I don't have enough to do. And those live auditions will be held at Emmanuel Baptist Church. And then I also attended the first annual Black Gala at Beloit College, and that was hosted by the Black Students United group. It's their BSU, and they were really excited and very, very professional when planning it, and they got a really good turnout. Lots of college professors and staff and students came out for a really elegant evening. So that's it. That's it.
Councillor Kincaid.
Speaking about Biff, I went to a lot of movies, and To Kill a Mockingbird, Phantom of the Opera, which those of you who are there, you will agree it was over the top, and Artois the goat. I learned more about goat making cheese than I ever thought I would know. It was only 10 days this year. I hope they decide to extend it next year. How about that, Anna? Anna was, every time we went downtown, Anna and her husband were every place. So we couldn't have done it without you, I'm sure. With respect to the gospel singing, I'm afraid I'm going to be really tied up on the 13th and the 21st, but I hope I have a chance next year. Thank you.
Vice President Haynes.
Well, I did manage to briefly volunteer at BIF this year as well to get around to some of the movies. This upcoming week, I'll be attending the Beloit Fine Arts Incubator's reception for their juried photo gallery. So that's all I have.
Councillor Kelly.
Well, BIF used to be 4 days. So we work, 4 days and a couple days before. Then they extended it to 10 days. So now we're at the box office for the entire 10 days. So today, I have not seen my house in 10 days. It's just been BIF. I saw 2 movies. I went to Greece, and I saw Becoming Bulletproof, which was just very, if you have a chance to see it, you should see it. It was moving. It was just touching. Today I'm just digging myself out. So no extra days. 10 days is more than enough.
And I have nothing to add this evening. Item 10 is city manager's presentation. We have done. Item 11 is reports from boards and city officers. 11A.
A resolution awarding the sale of $760,000 in general obligation promissory notes, Series 2015B.
Mr. Miller.
Good evening. On February 2nd, City Council approved the initial resolutions to authorize us to go out to the market to sell notes and bonds to finance the capital improvement program for 2015. Before you tonight are the resolutions that will actually award the sale of those notes and bonds. And so with us tonight we have Todd Taves. He is a senior financial advisor with Ellers. He is going to fill in for Dawn Gunderson and Mike Harrigan tonight. So I'll turn it over to Todd and he'll walk you through the sale day reports.
Thank you. I'm going to refer to the summary which we had reviewed. And in review, the first issue, which is the 2015B, these were the general obligation promissory notes. You did receive a total of 4 bids today. The low bidder was Bankers Bank out of Madison, Wisconsin, with a true interest rate of 2.093. As compared to the pre-sale estimate, the cost to the city over the term of the notes will be about $430 greater than the original estimate. So as compared to the estimate, we came in very close in terms of where the market was today. The other thing that I would mention about the notes, and this will also apply to the bonds, is that as part of the process, the city's credit rating was reviewed and it was affirmed as a A+ from Standard & Poor's. And if you have any questions regarding the notes, I can answer those first.
Are there any questions? No, I think that no questions on the notes.
Would you like me to wait for the next motion to address the bonds?
Since we've only got 2 tonight, I guess we can go ahead and vote on this one and then do the next one. Is there a motion on 11A? Motion for approval. Moved by Lupke, second by Kincaid. And do we need a roll call on this?
Yes, we do.
Is there any discussion? If not, can we have a roll call?
Councilor DeForest.
Aye.
Hendricks. Haynes.
Aye.
Spreitzer.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Kincaid. Lupke. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. All right, 11B is...
A resolution awarding the sale of $2,485,000 in general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2015C.
Bids were also taken on the Series 2015C bonds. This morning, you did receive a total of 3 bids on that issue. The winning bidder was BOSC out of Milwaukee. The true interest rate on the bonds is 2.8497%. In the table on the summary, you'll note that the amount that is to be issued is $2,450,000, which is $35,000 less than the resolution that was provided in draft form. The result of a bond premium allowed us to reduce the issue size. You will still receive the same amount of proceeds for the projects, but we are able to issue less bonds for that purpose. So please note that the motion would be for $2,450,000 versus the $2,485,000. In terms of the comparison to the pre-sale estimate, the actual rates the city received today will result in total principal and interest expense over the life of the bonds that is $14,008 greater than the pre-sale estimate. The other item I would mention is that these bonds are going to be insured. That's an option that the bidders have. If they choose to insure them, they are responsible to pay the cost of that premium, so it's at no expense to the city. And as a result, the bonds, in addition to carrying the city's S&P A+ rating, will also carry the insured rating of AA from Standard & Poor's from Build America Mutual Insurance Company.
Thank you. Are there any questions on 11B? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Moved by DeForest, second by Haynes. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, or roll call?
DeForest. Aye. Hendricks. Aye. Haynes.
Aye.
Spreitzer.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Kincaid.
Aye.
Lupke.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
11C.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for the Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response SAFER Grant Program.
Chief Leggett.
Good evening, city councilors, city manager Arft. This is a new application for a new SAFER grant. The City of Beloit Fire Department was awarded a SAFER grant in 2013 and an extension of 1 year in 2014 for a veteran for a total funding justification of $954,000. Beloit's programmed into its budget the ability to absorb 2 firefighter positions, one in 15 and one in 16 fiscal years. This leaves a funding gap for 3 full-time equivalent firefighters. These firefighters are scheduled for layoff on July 2nd of 2015. It's the intent of the city to apply for this funding for 3 personnel over 2 years for a total grant justification of $452,485. In order to maintain the minimum staffing and comply with NFPA 1710 and to maintain safety for our residents. If you have any questions, I'd be entertaining those now.
Thank you. Are there questions? Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. Chief, do we anticipate that we'll hear about the results of this grant before we begin our next budget cycle?
Probably not. The award cycle is supposed to begin, according to the grant documentation, about June 1st. They had planned on having all the awards done by September 30th. It's my understanding that the grant directorate is currently, as a result of lapse of funding for the Department of Homeland Security, laid off. So the grant application period closes this Friday. It's an electronic process, so they'll receive our grant application on time. I don't have a clue when they will start to review those, though. So it just depends on how soon Congress will fund the Department of Homeland Security.
I have a follow-up question. So I don't know how else to say except a cliche. Will we be shooting ourselves in the foot if we make Plan B plans to try to fund those positions while we're waiting to hear back from the grant?
I don't understand the question.
So if we're beginning the budget cycle, we're beginning to plan and looking at the possibility, bless you, of filling those positions, will that affect our ability to secure that grant because they know that we're looking at funding it internally versus relying on the grant funds to do that?
The grant justification is based on the financial need the city currently has.
Mm-hmm.
If something changes, we don't have to accept the grant when the grant comes around. But I think that, based on expenditure restraint and the levy limits that we're currently under, I think it'd be very difficult to try to absorb those positions.
If we don't if we don't fill those 3 positions, what is our manning at that point?
We will remain at 15.
Okay.
We just lose that 1-person buffer on each shift.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have the legacy costs of the unemployment to the city. And then also the impact of potentially higher overtime costs because we don't have that 1-person buffer on each shift anymore.
But we would remain at 15?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Chief, just to follow up on that, am I correct that of the 5 positions we originally had in the grant, there are 2 of them that we're planning to maintain internally? This would cover the other 3, and that unless our financial picture changed, there's not a current plan to maintain the 3 internally if we didn't get the grant, but we would maintain the 2 that get us to the 15. Is that right?
Correct.
Thank you. Councilor Lupke?
I just want to clear up any misconceptions too, as to what maybe has appeared in the paper before and to this point. I think I speak for all councilors when I say it's been a budget priority of the council to fund firemen and policemen. I think that's been our top priority. And correct me if I'm wrong. Budget constraints have been such that we had a couple years ago to cut 5% across the board. And I would love to fund internally, but we've got to come up with that money. So if citizens have ideas as to where we can get that additional funding, please come forward. But I think it's important for the public to know that all counselors want additional fire and police. And it's just a matter of finding the funds or cutting elsewhere. And we look at that long and hard every year. So I would love to fund internally if we would, from the state or elsewhere, get those monies, which have been hard to come by in past years. I just wanted to say that to make it clear.
I appreciate that very much.
Is there other discussion on this item, or is there a motion to approve?
I move approval.
Moved by Haynes, second by Lupke. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? This is approved 7-0. That brings us to item 12. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Hendricks. Is there a second? Second by Kelly. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? And we are adjourned at 7:36.